Let me tell you something, because a man will never announce when he's catching feelings. He don't send out a memo. He don't sit you down and say, "Excuse me, ma'am, my heart is getting involved." No, a man shows you. And if you know what to look for, the signs be loud even when his mouth is quiet. Let me explain something to you. Because when a man is catching feelings, the first thing that changes is not his mouth, it's his behavior. Men talk with actions long before they ever talk with words. His heart starts moving before his lips catch up. That's why a lot of women get confused, because they're listening for a confession when they should be watching for a pattern. See, when a man doesn't care, everything about him is casual. His replies are slow. His energy is inconsistent. He remembers what matters to him and forgets what doesn't. But the moment feelings start creeping in, something shifts. He don't even realize it at first. He just starts acting different. He checks his phone more. He responds faster. Not because you asked him to, but because you're already on his mind. He starts noticing things. Small things. Things he used to overlook. Your mood, your tone. The way you go quiet when something's wrong. He picks up on it before you even explain it. And let me tell you something, men do not suddenly become observant for no reason. That awareness comes from emotional attachment. When a man's heart gets involved, his attention sharpens. His routine starts adjusting too. He used to fit you in when it was convenient. Now he makes space. He'll text you before bed. He'll check in during the day. He'll circle back if he missed your call. That's not habit, that's priority forming. And a man does not prioritize what he does not value. Another thing you'll notice is consistency. When he wasn't emotionally invested, he was hot and cold because he didn't care if you stayed or left. But once feelings come in, he wants stability. He wants to know where he stands with you, even if he doesn't say it out loud. His actions become steady because he doesn't want to lose access to you. He also becomes more considerate without being told. He thinks before he speaks. He avoids saying things that might upset you. He explains himself more, not because he owes you anything, but because your opinion suddenly matters to him. And when a man starts caring about how his actions affect you, that's a clear sign his emotions are involved. Now here's the part women miss. Sometimes, right when these changes start happening, he may pull back slightly, not disappear, just hesitate. That's not loss of interest. That's internal conflict. His feelings are growing faster than his comfort level. Men don't like feeling out of control emotionally, so when feelings show up unexpectedly, they pause to process. But even when he pauses, his behavior still tells the truth. He doesn't vanish. He still checks in. He still shows concern. He still comes back. Because even when a man is confused, his heart keeps pulling him toward what it wants. So if you're watching his actions closely, you won't need him to say anything yet. The shift in behavior is the signal, the increased effort, the attention, the consistency. That's how you know feelings are forming, even if his mouth hasn't caught up to his heart. Let me tell you something about a man when he starts catching real feelings. You don't have to chase him, remind him, or explain yourself over and over again. Because once a man cares, showing up stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like responsibility. And that's a big difference. When he wasn't emotionally invested, everything had an excuse. He was busy. He forgot. He fell asleep. Something always came up. But when feelings get involved, those excuses start disappearing. Not because his life suddenly got easier, but because you moved up on the list. He figures it out. He always finds a way. And a man will always find time for what matters to him. You'll notice he starts reaching out without a reason. Not because he needs something. not because he's bored, but just to check on you. A simple, "Did you eat?" or "How was your day?" might not sound like much, but consistency in small things is a loud sign of emotional investment. Men don't do consistent check-ins unless they care. He starts making plans and actually following through. He says he'll call, and he calls. He says he'll come see you, and he shows up. No disappearing acts, no last-minute excuses. Because once feelings are involved, a man understands that reliability builds trust, even if he doesn't say it that way. Another thing is his availability changes. He creates space for you in his day. He doesn't make you feel like you're interrupting his life. He includes you in it. He'll talk to you during breaks before bed or in between responsibilities. And that's important because men guard their time closely. Time is how a man shows value. You might also notice he steps up when you need support. Not just when things are fun, but when you're stressed, tired, or emotional. He doesn't disappear when it gets inconvenient. He stays. He listens. He tries to help, even if he doesn't know exactly how. That's because when a man catches feelings, he feels responsible for your emotional well-being. And here's the key part. He shows up without being asked. You don't have to remind him to care. You don't have to explain why consistency matters. He just does it because your presence in his life starts to feel necessary, not optional. Sometimes this can look subtle. He checks in more. He notices when you go quiet. He asks if something's wrong. He follows up later to make sure you're okay. That follow-up is important. Men who don't care don't circle back. Men who care do. Now, don't confuse this with control. A man showing up consistently isn't trying to manage you or limit you. He's trying to stay connected. He wants to be part of your world. And the more he shows up, the more you become part of his. And even when he has a bad day, even when he's tired, even when life is heavy, he still finds a way to stay present. Because once a man is emotionally invested, absence starts to feel like loss. And he doesn't want to lose ground with you. So when you see a man consistently showing up, staying present, and making space for you without being pushed, that's not coincidence. That's feelings in action. Let me explain something, because when a man starts catching feelings, he doesn't just care about you when everything is good. He starts caring about you when things are uncomfortable. That's where the real change shows up. A man who is emotionally invested becomes protective, not in a loud way, but in a steady, intentional way. When he didn't have feelings, your problems were yours. He listened, maybe nodded, maybe gave advice, and then moved on. But once feelings enter the picture, your stress starts weighing on him. If you're upset, he can't fully relax. If something hurts you, it sits with him. He may not always know what to say, but he feels it. You'll notice he starts checking on you more when you're not at your best. He asks if you're okay. He wants to know what's bothering you. And he doesn't rush the conversation. He stays present. Men don't like emotional discomfort, so if he's willing to sit in it with you, that means you matter to him. He also becomes more aware of how the world treats you. He notices when someone disrespects you. He doesn't like when you're undervalued or hurt. And even if he doesn't confront it directly, it bothers him. That internal reaction is a sign of emotional attachment. A man doesn't feel protective over someone he feels nothing for. Another shift happens in how he talks to you. His tone softens. He becomes more careful with his words. He thinks before he speaks because he doesn't want to be the reason you're hurting. That level of consideration doesn't come from attraction alone. It comes from emotional connection. You'll also see that he starts offering support without being asked. Not because he wants credit, but because he wants you to feel safe. He might help you think through a problem. He might simply listen. Sometimes he'll just stay on the phone with you even when there's nothing to fix. That presence is powerful. Men don't give emotional presence unless their heart is involved. Now here's something important. A protective man doesn't try to control you. He doesn't tell you what to do or who to be. Instead, he wants to make sure you're okay while still respecting your independence. That balance is a strong indicator of genuine feelings. You may also notice he becomes sensitive to changes in your energy. If you pull back, he feels it. If you're quieter than usual, he notices. He might ask what's wrong or try to lighten your mood. That emotional awareness is something men develop when they care deeply. And even when he's busy or stressed himself, he still shows concern for you. He might not have the perfect response, but he doesn't ignore you. He doesn't dismiss your feelings. Because once a man's heart is involved, your emotional state matters to him. Sometimes this protectiveness shows up as worry. He wonders if you got home safely. He asks if you ate. He reminds you to rest. Those small acts aren't random. They come from a place of care and responsibility. So when you see a man becoming emotionally attentive, protective of your peace, and invested in your well-being, understand this. That's not just interest. That's his heart stepping forward, even if he hasn't said it yet. Let me tell you how you know a man is really catching feelings, because it shows up in his vision before it shows up in his confession. A man may not say he wants a future with you, but if you listen closely, he starts placing you inside of it without even realizing he's doing it. At first, it sounds casual. He'll say things like, "We should do that one day," or "If we ever go there," and your name is already included in the plan. He's not speaking in hypotheticals anymore. He's speaking in shared moments. And that's important because men don't imagine a future with someone they see as temporary. You'll notice he starts talking about time differently. Instead of just focusing on what's happening now, he mentions what's coming next week, next month, or later on. He wants to know your schedule. He asks what you're planning. Not because he's controlling, but because he's trying to see where he fits. Another thing is he starts thinking ahead on your behalf. He considers how decisions might affect you. He asks your opinion. He weighs your comfort. That means your presence in his life has shifted from optional to influential. And a man does not let someone influence his future unless his feelings are involved. He may also introduce you to his world slowly. He talks about his family, his goals, his responsibilities. He lets you see the real parts of his life, not just the polished version. That openness is intentional. He's letting you understand him, because he's imagining you being around longer. Watch how he reacts when you talk about your future. If he's catching feelings, he doesn't get distant or uncomfortable. He leans in, he listens, he asks questions. Even if your plans are separate right now, he wants to know where you're going because he's already wondering if he can walk alongside you. Sometimes this shows up as concern. He asks about your work, your health, your stress. He wants you stable. He wants you okay. Because when a man starts seeing you in his future, your well-being becomes part of his responsibility. You might also notice he stops making decisions that could risk losing you. He thinks twice before disappearing. He explains himself more. He communicates when he's busy. That's future-minded behavior. He's protecting what he sees coming, not just what he has right now. And here's a big sign. He starts talking less about options and more about choices. He's not entertaining endless possibilities anymore. He's narrowing his focus. And even if he hasn't labeled the relationship, his actions show alignment towards something lasting. He might not say forever. He might not say commitment. But he starts moving in a way that suggests continuity. He plans. He includes. he considers. And that's how you know his feelings are deepening, because a man doesn't place a woman in his future unless his heart has already made room for her. Let me tell you something about a man when he starts catching real feelings, because the way he listens changes completely. When he's not emotionally invested, he hears you just enough to respond. But when his heart gets involved, he listens to understand, not just to reply. At first, you might not even notice it. He asks more questions. He pauses before answering. He doesn't interrupt you the way he used to. That pause matters because it means he's processing your words instead of rushing past them. A man only slows down like that when what you're saying matters to him. He remembers conversations you thought were small, things you mentioned in passing, your worries, your dreams, your frustrations, and later on he brings them up again, not to impress you, but because they stayed with him. That's emotional storage. Men don't store information about women they don't care about. You'll also notice he listens to your tone, not just your words. He can tell when you say, "I'm fine," but you're not. He hears the shift in your voice. He notices when your energy is off. That emotional awareness doesn't come from attraction. It comes from connection. Another sign is how he reacts when you express a feeling. He doesn't dismiss it. He doesn't minimize it. Even if he doesn't fully understand it, he respects it. He might ask, "Help me understand," instead of saying, "You're overreacting." That's a man who values your emotional experience. He also becomes more open in conversations. He shares more about himself, not surface-level stories, but real thoughts, real fears, real pressures. That openness happens because he feels safe with you. And men only open up emotionally where they feel connection and trust. You'll see it in conflict too. When a man isn't invested, he avoids hard conversations or shuts down completely. But when he cares, he tries. He might struggle. He might get quiet. But he doesn't walk away easily. He wants resolution because he wants to preserve the connection. He listens even when the topic isn't comfortable, even when it challenges him, even when it requires self-reflection. That willingness to stay engaged is emotional maturity fueled by feelings. Another thing is he starts adjusting his behavior based on what you share. If you tell him something hurts you, he tries not to repeat it. If you tell him what you need, he considers it. That's listening turned into action. And that's a powerful sign of emotional investment. He also gives you his attention without distractions. He puts the phone down. He stays present. He doesn't rush the conversation. Men are very selective with their focus, so when he gives it to you fully, that's meaningful. Sometimes his listening shows up as silence. He doesn't jump in to fix everything. He just lets you talk. He lets you be heard. That restraint shows respect and care. And here's something important. When a man starts listening like this, he's bonding emotionally. Communication becomes connection. Your voice starts to matter to his emotional world. So if you notice a man listening with intention, remembering your words, adjusting his actions, and staying present even in difficult conversations, understand what you're seeing. That's not casual interest. That's emotional attachment forming in real time. Let me tell you something about a man when his pride starts fighting his feelings, because this is where most women get confused. This is the stage where his heart is saying one thing, but his ego is saying something else. And when that battle starts, his behavior can look inconsistent, even though his feelings are actually getting stronger. See, men are taught to stay in control of their emotions, their image, their vulnerability. So when feelings sneak up on him without permission, it shakes him. He didn't plan on caring this much. He didn't plan on needing you. And that realization can scare a man more than anything. That's why you might see him pull back a little right when things feel like they're getting deeper. Not disappear, not walk away completely, just hesitate. He might take longer to reply. He might seem quieter. That's not loss of interest. That's him trying to regain emotional balance. But even when he pulls back, the signs are still there. He still checks in. He still cares. He still reacts when something happens to you. Because pride can slow him down, but it can't shut off his feelings. You'll notice he struggles to express what he feels directly. Instead of saying, "I miss you," he'll find reasons to talk to you. Instead of saying, "I care," he'll show concern. Men in this phase speak in actions, not words, because words make it real. And real means vulnerable. Another sign of this internal battle is that he becomes more sensitive than usual. Small things affect him more: your tone, your distance,